Hi, it's Dr. Sasha Shilcutt, and I'm so excited. Welcome to this last episode of this season of the Brave Enough Show. We've been talking all about failure and rejection, how to overcome it, what to do when it happens to you, how to learn from it, how to accept a no, not accept a no. Just so many great people came on and shared their rejections and failures. And also, I shared a lot of mine with you. And I'm loving this season. I'm getting so much good feedback to the transparency of it. I wanted to talk with you a little bit today about an upcoming opportunity to work with me. So, this is my entry level course, coaching course. And it's a great opportunity for you if you have always wanted to work with me, get to know me, and for me to help you overcome whatever it is that you are struggling with in 2025 to get back to a healthier, closer version of the best you. What does that mean? Well, what we do is I send you really 12 weeks of curriculum that you're going to get one module a week. And when I say it's a module, it is a 20 to 30 minute lecture that is me just teaching and talking to you about everything from imposter syndrome to burnout to taking your wellness assessment to understanding how to set boundaries to identifying what boundaries you need to having the crucial conversations with the people in your life that you need to set those boundaries with from beginning to end, so that at the end of this 12 weeks, you are closer to who it is that you are meant to be. And you have a clear vision of what things you need to subtract in your life so that you can add things like spending daily time with yourself, working on things that are closer to your heart and your passion, enjoying your life, enjoying your family, instead of feeling like you're on this treadmill and you don't know how to get off, or feeling really stuck, feeling stuck and suffocated in either your work life or your home life. All of that are things we go over. And then we meet once a week for an hour-long coaching call. And it's amazing. You're going to get one-on-one coaching with me. You're going to get answers to your questions. You're going to also hear from your peers in a safe environment where you learn so much from other people. And it's very private. It's small group. It's high touch, and you're going to love it. And you also get CME from Stanford University. So if you are interested in this, listen, the next 12 weeks are going to happen whether you join this class or not, but I only do this once a year. And it's going to prime you up to have an amazing summer because we do it in March, April, May, and then you're going to be having an amazing summer doing the things that you've learned in this class to really prioritize yourself. So go to becomebraveenough.com and sign up. It's called Brave Balance. Go to courses, or if you're not sure, check out the show notes and make sure that you are signing up for Brave Balance. Send me an email if you're not sure at sasha@becomebraveenough.com. I will tell you, are you right for this course? Don't wait. Reach out, sign up. There's a few spots left, and I would love for you to be one of them. Okay. We're going to talk today all about how to really learn from failure and rejection. And I'm going to share the top 5 things that I've learned. So this year has been a lot of loss and grief for me. And I've shared with you multiple times about that. In fact, we had a whole season. The last season was all about grief and how to walk through it. And also this year, when I thought, okay, life really can't get any worse, right? I have just been really in a season of rejection and failing. Uh, and it's just been like, gosh, I kept looking for, probably 6 months to a year, like looking for the silver lining and looking for the thing that's going to get better. And I realized it's all on me and in my mindset to change my outlook on all these situations. And once I did that, I felt like, oh, I have the power back and the agency back to walk through life, not feeling like I've been wronged, not feeling with a victim kind of attitude, not feeling like afraid of the next thing that's going to happen to me, and not having that anxiety, but just actually feeling like, oh, okay, this is data, this happened, and this is how I'm going to move forward. So I'm going to share with you some personal things today and the top 5 things that this last year of walking through not just grief and loss, but also failure and rejection have taught me. The first thing that I have learned, which has been such a good lesson for me and so freeing, is that sometimes the most qualified person doesn't get the job. The best person gets rejected. That's a hard lesson to learn. It's a hard lesson. You've seen it. All of you have probably seen this. You've seen this in your institutions. Maybe you've seen it in your kids, with kids sports. Maybe you've seen it in the world, politics, whatever. You look around and you go, wait a minute, what happened? This person was clearly qualified. This person was clearly the best player. This person was clearly the best leader. They were the most qualified. They had the most experience. They're the most well-spoken. Whatever, fill in the blank. We've all seen this happen, right? And we all look like, what's the thing that was wrong? What went wrong? Clearly he wasn't the right person, or he had to have something wrong with him, or clearly she had to have something wrong. But a lot of times that's not true. And once I accepted this truth that the most qualified person for the job does not always get the job, the most qualified player does not always get to play, the most qualified friend doesn't always get to be the friend, doesn't always get selected. The best idea isn't the one that everybody wants to go with. Once I realized this, I stopped looking for all the ways that I had failed, and I started looking at that was not for me. That person is not for me. That friendship is not for me. This opportunity was not meant for me. Because even if I did everything right and still got rejected, it was not for me. Now, I can say this because I have a faith. And I am a very strong faith, and I many of you know that. I don't shy away from it. I don't, come on and preach about it, but I don't diminish it, and I certainly don't reject it. And I know that at the end of the day, even when I lose my house or I lose family members, like, God has his best interest in mind for me. He's cheering for me. He's on my side. And so even when something I feel like, oh, I want that so bad, I deserve that so bad, and it's rejected, and I get rejected, it's not for me. It is not for me. And, I've had several close friends this year that know what these rejections are and have walked near me. And almost all of them have said, that was not meant for you. Now, they didn't say it the minute I was rejected because they know that that would be too painful, but they've said it. And it's sometimes it's such an important lesson so that you can take back your power and agency to know that when you are rejected, it's not about you. It's not about your shortcomings. It doesn't always mean. Sometimes it is. Sometimes there's something that was amiss and you could have done better, or you weren't the right person, or you weren't the most qualified. I don't mind when I get rejected in those instances because then I know, like, I gave my best. What is harder is when we are rejected and we don't know why, right? We're left wondering, but I did everything right. I was the best fill in the blank, whether it's a relationship or a job or an idea, whatever. The second thing that I have learned is that when something is not for you, it may mean that you're being protected for what is for you. And I know you might say, oh, that's the old saying, when God closes a door, he opens another, or, one closed door is an open window or whatever. But I want you to take this a step further. And I want you to think of sometimes we don't get things because we're actually being protected. There is something that we don't realize, we can't see behind the curtain that is harmful for us, actually. I've had that happen to me multiple times where I'm like, man, I really wanted to collaborate with this person, or I really wanted to do this. And then it comes out, actually, I was protected this whole time by not going into business with that person, or not collaborating with this person, or not getting this role, or not getting this job, or not being assigned this task was actually really protective of me. Or maybe I was rejected from a friendship or what I thought was a, collegial relationship with someone. And then I come to find out, like, ooh, that person is not someone I want in my inner circle. So yes, does it sting? Yes, it hurts. It sucks to be rejected. It feels like a punch to the gut. But when you can look back, a lot of times it means that you are being protected. And there's something that there's hurt there. Maybe it's your reputation. Maybe it is something that you have no idea. You won't know for weeks to months to years how you were protected. And you can look up and say, thank you, right? Thank you for that rejection. It hurt, it stung, I didn't get it, but now I do. The third thing that I personally have learned is and I said this in, I think, episode 8. When we are rejected, it is really easy then to reject ourselves, to listen to make it out to be a whole narrative. Well, it must mean that I'm not good at this. It must mean that I'm not a good friend. It must mean that I'm not somebody that people want to collaborate with. It must mean that I'm not good. My idea was bad. I should not have presented that. It must mean that I'm not a good speaker. It must mean that I'm not a good writer. Whatever. We take the rejection and we add all these other rejections to it, and we start to reject ourselves. And only you can do that. And what we really are doing is we are allowing, when we do that, small-minded people who just see a sliver of our potential limit our future. We're like taking this small-minded person over here that rejected us weeks ago or a year ago about this thing, and we're letting it stop us from moving forward because we're accepting that rejection, and then we're adding all these other secondary rejections and failures on top of it. Well, I must not be a good speaker, else I would have gotten that. Right? It's like a double dose. So don't get rejected twice. If someone else rejects you, fine, but don't you reject you. And don't let small-minded people limit your future. I just think back and I laugh to myself so hard because when I started Brave Enough, I actually, kind of pushed it out after a year of really thinking like, oh gosh, should I do this? Should I not do this? It's going to change my identity. I'm an academic physician. Everybody knows me as this. Now I'm going to be this brave enough person. It's going to be awkward. I don't know. I had all these weird thoughts about it. And then I just kind of pushed it out, right? And let it out in the open. And I had a very well-meaning person come to my office and take me for a little walk and tell me like, this is a huge mistake. This is going to be bad for you. You're tanking your career, your reputation. What are you doing? And I'm literally laughing out loud when I think about it because it's funny to me. At the time, it was devastating and terrifying. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going off the rails. This person is correct. Oh my gosh, what have I done? And now I just think, okay, like I think about the hundreds of women that I have personally coached and helped through my courses, and all the feedback I get every single week on how important this community is to them. I think about the woman who just sent me an email yesterday that I've never met that said, I listened to your podcast, and because of your podcast, I came out of this horrible depression and burnout, and I rebuilt my career, and I started setting boundaries for myself, and I'm back. And I just cried when I read her email. And I think about the women that I've helped negotiate better contracts and get raises. And I think about the women who have come to my conferences and listen and sit in there and listen and are sitting next to someone that becomes their best friend because I decided not to listen to that small-minded person. So you have to really not let the rejectors get in your own mind where you reject you. Don't let small-minded people limit your future. Number 3. Okay, number 4. Failure or rejection is a perfect time to pause. I don't know about you, but I am a person who always is thinking about the next thing. I'm like, okay, and then when we do this, what are we going to do next? Okay, and then when we remodel this room, how are we going to remodel the next room? Drives my husband crazy. I'm always like, okay, before we've left one vacation, I'm planning the next one. I'm a very forward strategic thinker. I'm always thinking ahead. And because of that, I can just go from one thing to the next thing to the next thing and the next thing. And pausing and stopping is hard for me. That's why I do my retreat in January, why I do my conference in September, is so that I myself stop and pause. I do my course every March, May, and June so that I stop and pause, because otherwise I take this curriculum with y'all, because otherwise I would just keep marching through life. And yet it is the pauses where we learn the most. And often failure and rejections really throw us on our tush. Sometimes we're rejected by a person. Sometimes it's a relationship. It's a person that we did not see coming. And we're like, holy crap, what happened there? And maybe it's a marriage. Maybe it's a, friendship. Maybe it's a relationship at work. Maybe it's with a coworker, whatever. And you don't see the demise and it hits you and you're like, what just happened? And it throws you on your butt. And it's such a good time for you to self-evaluate and self-reflect. A lot of times you really can't do anything else. It's kind of like when you wipe out and you fall and you hurt yourself. You get shook up for a minute. You got to like sit there for a hot second before you stand up and pick up everything out that you dropped, right? It's a pause. And failure or rejection is a great time to pause and reevaluate your why. I recently applied for something that I didn't get. And afterwards, my friend, who is a dear friend to me, was talking to me on the phone. And she said, I just didn't see you in that. I know you wanted it, but I could not see that for you. And I don't think it really, and I said, well, why? Why couldn't you see me in that? She said, I know you would have done an amazing job. You would have done a phenomenal job. But what I didn't see was how it aligned with your purpose. It just didn't fit with your why. And when she said that to me, it was like, this is someone who knows me really well. This is someone who gets me. They've known me for 20 years. And she is telling me that she's not telling me this to feel better. She's telling me this like, almost like she was afraid to say it to me. She was like, I just don't think it aligns with who you are. And I have thought about that for months. And you know what? I think she's right. Because the more I did the work after the rejection and thought about my why and what I want to do for the next 10 years of my life, I kept thinking of Sasha at age 60 and looking back, going, okay, what did I want for you? What am I proud of you for? And I couldn't see myself at age 60 looking back and being proud that I'd made that decision to say yes to that thing. I didn't get the chance to say yes because I was rejected. But I'm looking back going, oh, yeah, I now see that it wasn't aligned. Could I have done it? Yes. Would I have been great at it? Yes. But was it aligned? Probably not. I couldn't see it in the time. I was too hurt, but now I can. And so failure or rejection is a wonderful time to pause and reevaluate your why. Don't go into the next thing. I've shared this before, but Oprah says that her biggest regret in life is when she stopped doing the Oprah show. She opened Harpo Studios, and she didn't take a breath and she didn't take a pause and she didn't reevaluate her why. And the whole time she was thinking of, the whole year she was gearing up to close down the Oprah show, she knew that she really just needed to not do anything for like a year and pause and reevaluate things. But her whole team and everybody was like, you've got to do the next thing. What's next for you? You've got to have it lined up. So she did. She lined up Harpo. And she says to this day, she regrets that. She should have paused. And man, that hit me. And I thought, oh, I got to listen to the pause. Okay, so listen to the pause. If you are in an era of failure or rejection, use it. Who says you got to have the next thing? Who says you got to have plan B? Maybe you got to have plan A point, A.1, A.2, A.3, and just sit in those moments and pause for a hot second and think why? What is it that you really want to do? Who is it that you want to be around? Are you scrambling to get into a certain group of people that keep rejecting you? There's a reason that you're not supposed to be with this group of people. Is it a person that keeps rejecting you? There's a reason they're rejecting you. You're not meant to be with them. And I know this is tough love and this is hard to hear, but I'm telling you because I've learned this myself this year on all these fronts. Okay, number 5 is sharing your failure or rejection and being honest is key to using failure to grow. It's so key to using failure to grow. I can't even tell you how many things I have learned in the last year and a half. I've learned more in the last year and a half than I probably have in the decade prior because of how hard it's been. And I've been able to see who's been with me in those times and who really are my true friends and my support. And I've also learned a lot about myself and what it is that I value and my ego. I've learned a lot about humility. I've learned a lot about seeing people for their potential and also having the self confidence to walk into spaces and be in places where I know I deserve to be. And all that came from being rejected. It didn't come from success. Success is an amazing thing, but it doesn't teach you much. You don't learn a lot from success. You learn the most from failure and being rejected. So I hope that you have found this last season to be empowering and encouraging to you. And I hope that if you are feeling rejected, if you are feeling like a failure, you don't reject yourself. Let the waves, honor the emotions come, and also realize that sometimes the most qualified person doesn't get the job or the friend. When something is not for you, it may mean that you're being protected. Don't let small-minded people limit you. Failure and eras of rejection are great times to pause and reevaluate your why. And sharing your failure and being honest is key to using failure to grow. We never grow by keeping things in secret. We just don't. When you share them, that's what is the most impactful. I hope this season was impactful for you. If you like the Brave Enough show, the biggest thing you can do for me is give me a rating, share it on social media, give me a shout out, tell me how you like it. It helps me keep going. And it also helps other women be able to find this material and encourage them. So I want them to be encouraged. Remember that Brave Balance starts soon. It starts in 2 weeks. I want you to be a part of it. Go to becomebraveenough.com, click on courses, sign up today. You will not regret investing in this course. I promise you, it's an amazing course. I only do this once a year. You want to be a part of this 12-week coaching small group cohort. It's private, it's safe, it's amazing, and you're going to be changed afterwards, I promise. All right, live brave.